I'm happy to be here again to address all of you, as always. And following our last briefing about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, because we were in Accra, Ghana, where we had accompanied the president at a very important West African regional meeting. And that meeting was about a United Nations resolution recognizing slavery as a major humanitarian problem that happened, and recognizing that as a time in the world's history when people were forcibly taken from their countries across the Atlantic Ocean to other places to be seen as slave and utilized in that area. After many years, the continent has been pushing for the recognition, but beyond recognition, for a number of different things, including reparations and others. And Liberia, as a country that's part of that conversation, was invited following the signing or the recognition by the United Nations in March of this year. And following that, our colleagues or our country or our member country, that is Ghana, who have been in the forefront as well, pushing this, were able to organize a meeting. And that meeting invited our president to go and participate and be a member also of the panel, the advisory panel, to really look at reparations and look at other issues since the issue relating to slavery. So the president and his delegation were back in the country over the weekend and continuing his work. His work being a very, very busy work, every day continuing to work for the Liberian people, working in the interest of the Liberian people, and fulfilling his constitutional duties and mandates. He continuously remained engaging his different officials of government, his cabinet members and heads of state-owned enterprises, giving him update on the different sectors, what's happening there. So his week, or the last 2 weeks, had been quite busy following his participation in Accra, Ghana. As you know, the president was very vocal recently of the seizure of the 19 million worth of narcotics that was arrested at the Rabat International Airport. The president spoke, talking about his clear vision and stance when it comes to issues relating to drugs, especially this current investigation that's ongoing, that he remains unbending. He will continue to ensure that those in charge of the investigation continuously brief him and update him as to the status of the investigation. And he's very interested and very concerned with the situation. And he encouraging all members and those involved with this investigation to really do their best to bring this matter to finality. And he's very clear: no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, no matter what you do, once you are found guilty, you will be held liable. And he's very clear on that. No one will go scot-free when it comes to this situation. So he's encouraging everyone to cooperate with the investigation and, get involved. He also, as I mentioned, returned to the country over the weekend following his very active engagement in Accra, Ghana, along with his counterpart, the president of Ghana, President John Mahama, who had invited him. He was in Ghana along with other African leaders, but also other leaders, including the president of Senegal, the president of Namibia, the former president of Ghana, and others who had come to be a part of the engagement. The president did speak at the forum. He addressed the forum as one of the keynote speakers. He spoke to the core of the issues, where Liberia stands, and what he intends to do following that. And he was back in the country, again, continuously engaging his officials. And so he had a meeting with his officials at the ministry, at the various ministries, also the Ministry of State, but also with state-owned enterprises, including the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation, where they had come to give him updates as to what they're doing, what are the current ongoing projects. They did brief the president about ongoing community connections and connection to homes in places like Bapolu and the plans for other counties, including the southeastern part of our country. Also, the Liberia Petroleum Refinery Company, LPRC, was also here updating the president as to the different activities they're doing. They did talk about their progress they made so far, update on the tank farm, how far is that, and the works they're continuing to do. But more importantly, or most importantly, happens to do with the current status of the fuel situation. As you know, thankfully, the team at the LPRC have really been working hard, especially with this current global crisis issue, the Strait of Hormuz and crisis in the Middle East. But the team there have really made sure that Liberia, amongst the region or countries within the region, didn't experience exorbitantly high petroleum pricing, and it's been, stable in a way. But more importantly, if I will be the availability of the product on the market. Unlike other African countries, other areas where you will see shortages and people piling up to petrol stations, Liberia did not, see that. And the team at LPRC also told the president about what they're doing and the update as it relates to the tank farm. The president also received the proposed National Health Insurance Bill that is seeking to ensure Liberia has a health equity fund. This is in the interest of having universal health coverage. This will be the first time in the country's history that we will establish such a fund that will enable Liberians from all walks of life who may not be able to afford health facility, health products, or commodities to be able to have access to universal health. So he encouraged and he was thankful to the Ministry of Health team for the work that they have put in place of this and that they continue to do. And he really very excited that they have all of his support to do that. And he's looking forward to the national legislature as when the bill is submitted, because his legal team is in charge of it at the moment, reviewing. Following that, will be forwarded to the legislature and for onward passage. Once that is done, it will be really a very good thing to see how that is rolled out. And part of this package is also the digitalization of our health systems, where you will go, and we've spoken about this before in this very press briefing, about the need to have coverage, the need to have a system, digital system, where health records will be kept. So if you come from point A, you come from hospital B, you're able to access your health records. You don't have to necessarily have papers, because sometimes those documents, once they're physical, they get missing. So all of this is part of the package of the universal health coverage and what the Ministry of Health and team looking forward to doing. Also, the president took leave of the outgoing German ambassador who had spent his 2 terms here. And the president was thankful to the ambassador for his work and his role. Ambassador Jacob Husenberg, for the dedicated service he's done in our country and what he continues to do in our country. And he wished the outgoing ambassador well, and he also extended his thanks and appreciation to the government and people of Germany for what they've been able to do in supporting our government and country and all of the different programs and projects that's been ongoing. The president also has made some appointments in government. He has appointed the board of directors for the Liberia Corporation for Strategic Investment. As you know, the president did sign Executive Order 158 and the bylaws governing the Liberia Corporation for Strategic Investment that he has approved the appointment of the board of directors. Members of the board of directors include Honorable Haja Mamaka Ability, chairperson of the board of directors representing the Ministry of State, Honorable Augustine Pehe Gafua, Minister of Finance, Development Planning, representing the economic management team, but also the financial sector, Honorable Councillor N. Oswald Tue, member of the board of directors of the Ministry of Justice, and then also the chairman of the National Investment Commission, who is now Honorable Molly Kamara as a member of the board. Those were representation from government and also their regional representatives on this board. That include Dr. Henrik F. Topa as a member, Mr. Isaac Dape, member, Mr. Elvis Gamoga Morris, member. Also, there will be representation from the private sector. This includes Ambassador Charles Minor, who's a member, and a representative from the Afriland First Holding will also be a member of this committee specifically, and this is planned to strengthen strategic investment for the country. And that project or those programs, they're intended to really look at investment opportunities for Liberia and how those investments will be carried on. Also, the president has signed Executive Order number 166 on the ban of the exploitation or exportation of natural unprocessed rubber. And the purpose of this is that the export of unprocessed natural rubber in any form is hereby prohibited and banned for an indefinite period, effective July 1. So as at July 1, 2026, a few days from today, there is a ban for an indefinite period on the exportation of natural unprocessed rubber. The essence of this executive order is to promote domestic employment and value addition in the rubber sector to expand tax revenue, discourage the continuous export of unprocessed rubber for the purpose of increasing economic growth through measures that will enhance Liberia's GDP, to transform the rubber sector, and to ensure that people, Liberians within the sector, can benefit from their efforts. So any person, in terms of enforcing this executive order, any person or entity found attempting to export unprocessed rubber will be subjected to the following. 1, immediate seizure and forfeiture of the goods. 2, an administrative fine of US $100,000 for the first offense for corporations and US $50,000 for smallholder farmers. C or 3, permanent revocation of export privileges for repeated offenders. 4, criminal prosecution under applicable Liberian law. Any person found to be in violation of this executive order shall be prosecuted by the Ministry of Justice. Violation of this executive order shall include shipment through Liberia ports of unprocessed rubber originating from any other country. So this process or this executive order also speaks to the importation export. So whichever trade routes that is used, especially using the Liberian port or any entry or exit point of Liberia, anyone found doing such will be held liable and penalized in accordance with the law. The President has also signed Executive Order number 167, establishing a national task force to combat illicit mining. As you know, illicit mining has been a major issue in recent time. So the National Task Force on Illicit Mining, to be known as the Project or to Protect Our Resource Task Force, is hereby established to immediately halt and prohibit all unlawful mining activities in Liberia, safeguard our natural resources, and promote rule of law in the mining sector. This mandate of the task force will be, one, to investigate mining activities nationwide, to detect unauthorized illegal mining activities, to halt all mining operations found to be illegal, to confiscate and place under government custody all equipment used in the illicit mining activities, to arrest all violators involved in illegal mining and forward them to the Ministry of Justice for prosecution, detain them where necessary in keeping with the law. Collaborate with the Armed Forces of Liberia and the Liberian National Police for manpower, technical, and enforcement support in discharging these duties. Use force where necessary, subject to prior approval of the AFL and the LNP High Command. Submit quarterly reports to the Office of the President detailing enforcement actions, environmental remediation, and community engagement outcomes. So the composition of the task force consists of the following persons. One, Mr. A.B. Kroma, chairperson of the task force. Mr. Ashford Peel, member. Mr. Prince Molba, member. Mr. Tanu Kessley, member. Mr. Charles Johnson, member. One representative of the Ministry of Mines and Energy. One representative of the EPA to be communicated later, as well as liaisons from the LNP and the AFL. As said, the role of the stakeholders will include, one, law enforcement agencies. As mentioned, the Armed Forces of Liberia, the Liberian National Police, the Ministry of Justice, the Liberia Immigration Service shall provide operational support, enforcement, and prosecution of offenders, and to prevent illegal equipment movement. The local authorities will include also county superintendents, district commissioners, chiefs, and community leaders shall monitor and report illicit mining activities throughout the country, ensuring no unauthorized mining activities take place in their jurisdiction. Citizens are also encouraged to be a part of this process and this initiative, wherein citizen communities are encouraged to report illegal mining, river pollution, destruction of farmland, and all other activities that will be happening in the sector. The committee has been appointed with immediate effect, and they're looking forward to having updates, to update them and working closely with the Ministry of Mines and Energy and other authorities to give update, because the issue of illegal mining is really concerning, and the President's interest is to ensure that Liberia is really free of those kinds of illegal activities, but more so that Liberians can benefit from their natural resources. Earlier this morning, the President held a meeting with the United Nations Development Program Resident Representative, Honorable Alion Dia, talking about the need for collaboration in key areas of interest. Those areas include climate actions, youth development and empowerment, community development, coastal protection, and a number of different forestry-related and environmental protection agency-related activities. The president was very happy to welcome Mr. Dia at the rehab office and promised to work along with his team to really see how it can leverage cooperation and deepen opportunities for Liberia in the sectors that UN is working on, including the healthcare sector and other areas of mutual benefit. President Boakai also this afternoon has suspended the chairperson of the Independent National Human Rights Commission, Councillor Dempster Brown. President Joseph Yuma Boakai has suspended Councillor Dempster Brown, the chairperson of the Independent Human Rights Commission, for an indefinite period without pay, pending an outcome of an investigation into serious allegations of misconduct. The decision follows formal complaints submitted by commissioners of the INCHR alleging that Councillor Brown forged their signatures on a petition for a writ of habeas corpus filed before the Supreme Court of Liberia on November 12, 2024. According to the complaints, the petition was filed without the knowledge or consent of the affected commissioners, who further contended that the chairman misrepresented the filing as an official decision of the commission. The allegation, if substantiated, constitute a violation of the Liberia's penal law, Title 26, Section 15.70, relating to the offense of forgery. In addition to the forgery allegation, 3 commissioners have accused Chairman Brown of failing to convene board meetings for nearly 2 years, contrary to the statutory requirements governing the operations of the commission. The complaint further alleged that he arbitrarily withheld the suspension or compensation of fellow commissioners without legal authority or a punitive measures arising from disagreement over this decision. In keeping with his commitment to accountability, transparency, and respect for the rule of law, President Boakai has directed the Ministry of Justice to conduct a thorough investigation into the allegations and to take all appropriate measures and legal action should the claims be substantiated. The President has also instructed Councillor Brown to immediately surrender all government assets in his possession to the General Services Agency. Meanwhile, Councillor Mohammed E. Famble has been designated to serve as acting chairperson for the Independent Human Rights Commission, pending full outcome of the investigation. The President remains steadfast and committed to fighting corruption and to upholding governance and integrity in the government structure of the country. President Boakai hopes that all public officials who come to serve will come to service with dignity, respect the rule of law, respect the governance structures, and respect to institutional integrity. And the President believes that individuals who serve must serve the Liberian people, so that this decision is hereby upheld and taken with immediate effect. Thank you all so very kindly. I look forward to taking your questions, should you have any, your comments, and have a good afternoon. Thank you. You should just go ahead and speak. I know today we're having some technical issues here. All the mics have been whispering and beeping here and there, off and on. So permit and forgive our technical glitches at times. It's been a busy Friday as always, but today especially has been quite a busy one for us here. We do have a lineup, and before I forget, the President has also accepted the invitation to join the government and people of the Republic of China this evening, where he will go and attend the National Day that is currently, that will take place this evening. So next time you see our team, you will see our team around with the President at the Chinese Embassy near Monrovia, where he has gracefully accepted the invitation to be a part of the event. So yes, are your mics ready now? Or you will just speak louder? Okay, please.
Okay, so my name is Christofina Yale, and I report for Pram FM. So just yesterday, the House of Representatives, they voted. I think over 30 lawmakers voted that the GLS Macy's company is responsible for the ongoing $19.3 million drug case at the RRA be suspended. And that communication or the process ended yesterday. So I would like to know, or the Liberian people would like to know, whether the president has received that communication, because they are calling on him to act immediately. So has the president received that information, and what do Liberians expect from that process? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question?
Yes, my name is Anthony Williams, and as usual from the LBS. I want to talk about the executive order that has to do with the export of unprocessed rubber from Liberia. And this also has to do with smallholder companies that in a way will be affected by this particular executive order. We've seen this before where smallholder companies complain of their raw materials not being accepted because a lot of them are involved into export. And local rubber processing plants I will also want you to respond to that on looking at the number of local rubber processing plants and buyers that will be able to accompany these smaller rubber processing companies to be able to have their products taken from the market. We will not see a recurrence of similar complaints that we had in cases of similar executive order. That's one question. I will take it from there for now, then we can go probably to the next one eventually.
Okay, thank you. I will start with Chris's question around the vote from the House of Rep. The president yet have not, as at now or earlier when we spoke earlier today, we didn't receive an indication that he's received the communication from the office of the speaker or the legislature. However, this, like I mentioned, this is a critical issue when it comes to the president. He's very concerned and serious about it. So whatever interventions, whatever question or request that is needed will be provided. So when the president receives this and he takes action by agreeing with the legislature and going ahead with the suspension, you all will be communicated to. But as of yet, that decision has not been taken. But we will give you update as soon as the communication reaches the president and he takes action on the communication based on advice from his team. Especially what Liberians should expect. Like I mentioned, Liberians should expect an unbending reaction from our president, especially on this matter. And the president is very clear. There's not going to be no hidden agendas. Anyone found liable, he will take action against them, whether you're in government or out of government or in Liberia or out of Liberia, especially once it's related to, once legally prudent from our side, and once it is in the purview of the president, once it requires the political will or the action of the president, he's going to take specific action on individuals, institutions, or whatever it is. As you listen to the president, he was very clear as to Liberia being open for business, but definitely not illicit business, especially not drugs-related business. And he's very clear on that. So the Liberian people should expect that he will take action should the investigation conclude and persons of interest or people are forwarded and they're seen as suspects or prime suspects and their cases should go forward. He will do all he can in his power to facilitate the speedy trial when it reaches to that point and moving forward with the matter. As to Executive Order 166 on the unprocessed rubber, the suspension or ban or ensuring that rubber are not exported. Anthony, this is definitely in the interest of ensuring that we have smallholder farmers in Liberia contributing to the local economy. This is not the first executive order on this matter by this president. He's taking the executive order, and I believe the previous executive order relating to the unprocessed rubber has since expired, and there's a need to, ensure that this is added, but more than just the expiration, but it's more so that, Liberians, we have cried a lot that we have natural resources, that we have land, that we have rubber, that we have minerals, that we have everything. But we've really not done much in terms of ensuring that we are the producer of the finished product of those raw materials. And this effort is definitely in line to that. So that once you have ban on unprocessed rubber, the local market, it helps ensure that their production, their smallholder farmers can work together as cooperatives, establish factories, so that instead of you sending away raw materials, you can work together to establish factories here where you can produce rubber items, you can produce plastics, you can produce rubber band, you can produce just chairs, bowls, everything relating to rubber. And the government, definitely the president, will be open, especially with his economic management teams, as well as the team from the Ministry of Agriculture, to give you the necessary support to be able to work along with that in expanding our industry. Similarly, on the issue of mines, as you see, the task force have been set up because, Liberians have cried a lot. We are a very small country, but very rich in terms of natural resources. But if you go into our butchers, Anthony, you see the number of illegal mining activities happening. People come in a butch, far removed from city center or city communities, but they're there, facilitated by our community members and leaders because they gave them little or nothing. They go into those places, carry machineries, carry excavators, carry high-end, earth-moving equipment. You may think that when you see these earth-moving equipment, they come and fix our road. But you go in the mines, you see them in places, and they're just doing without any regard to our laws. They're doing illegal mining, illicit mining, selling our natural resources outside, making money, and depriving the very community. Because if a community has Gold Creek, for example, or they're known to be a place that has lots of natural resources, gold, for example, someone comes and say, we come in, we want to invest in your community, we will give you so and so. You give the community little or nothing, or some individual little or nothing. Then it turns out you are, just shortchanging that community. Because if you go through the proper channel, do the right registration, get everything, the community will benefit, the country will benefit, and citizens will benefit because the government will be in the interest of the people. So this executive order is really in that light, both executive order and also with the concept, the context of the rubber ban, is to really improve the sector, not necessarily to stop them, but to help work with them. In fact, now smallholder farmers will tell you the rubber regime that have been put in place now to ensure that they have fair pricing of what they sell is better now than it was yesterday. And that is what they really, really interested in.
And yes, I almost mentioned pricing. You spoke about it briefly, because that's exactly where I was coming. You mentioned some of these smaller companies going into forming corporations or cooperatives, and grouping themselves to venture into the industry. I also wanted to know what help are they getting from the angle of the government to ensure that things can work out for them. And one of the reasons also that they're exporting these products also has to do with pricing, the buying market, and you name it. What is being done to ensure that there's fair pricing, and are they getting any help from authorities to ensure they can locally produce to contribute to the economy, which this is actually geared towards?
Well, absolutely. And one thing, Anthony, is that the Ministry of Agriculture have remained engaged with all business people, especially the rubber producer, the farmers who are involved into the sector. So they do have ways in which, when they have grievances, that they can channel them through. And also they do have other companies here, local companies that are also into rubber processing. And they've also been able to together work on the pricing structure that will be mutually beneficial to both the farmer and the buyers, and those also on the international market. So like the president mentioned, this is an indefinite suspension for now, until we see, where this is headed. But I can assure you that this is in the best interest of the country, it's in the best interest of the sector, and it's in the best interest of the farmers themselves, so that they all can really, gain from what the investments are. Yes, Sampa. Sampat, yeah.
I'm Stephanie Duncan, and I report for the New Republic newspaper. Liberians, although July 26 is drawing closer, how is government getting prepared to celebrate this historic day?
Okay, yes, Ojuku.
Yes, I continue. Yes, congratulations, Happy birthday, newspaper. Yeah, the Ministry of Mine and Energy is responsible for mining activities in Liberia. For that reason, it has mining agents in every county, in every district. And now the president has announced Executive Order 167, establishing National Task Force on Illegal Mining. I would like to know, it means that Ministry of Mine is not working. Number two, or is a clever attempt to bring back Abraham Nkrumah into government, or while Ministry of Mine is operating, the president established this?
Thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, so thank you, Auntie Fofana, for the explanation. Well, my name is Sampat Pakima. I report for Women Voices newspaper and online. So I listened to your expose, and my concern here has to do with the seizure, the ban on the natural rubber exploitation. First of all, let me say kudos to the president for taking such bold step. It is very important for the Liberian people. So for the fine, what you say, anybody caught, they will be paid. They will paid fine 1,000.
100,000.
100,000. Sorry, 100,000.
For corporations and companies. And
Companies,
then 50,000 for
50,000.
individuals, yeah.
Yeah, so I even think that is small, but my concern here is the time frame. Will there be specific time frame for those companies that will be involved?
Time
Yeah.
in terms of what?
To pay the money. And if they do not pay within that time range, if there are additional punishment for them. Then I just want to deviate you a little from all of the points that you made. My real concern here is the issue about broad-day trucking. I think we are all following the incident that occurred on Johnsonville Road of recent of that young MEU student. And I want to know what you think is if the president is concerned about the broad-day trucking, because Liberians have been crying. We have been doing vox pop, talking to citizens, and this has been a continuous thing, especially with the further fee continuance running on a daily basis on our roads and not being careful. They are aggressively driving and recklessly driving through the road. So is the president concerned about that, looking at the recent incident that occurred along Johnsonville route?
So, Madam, I finally want to align my final points with the illicit mining story or the executive order. And we all know there are legitimate miners in country. I want to know how government intend to ensure that the rights of these legitimate mining operations are protected while the task force does its job. Also, how will we protect communities? And also, how does the task force intend to go about this? Because the very communities, in a way, are involved with ensuring they can shield illicit miners and all of that. So, and then finally, what specific message?
This may sound like your fourth finally, but
This is the final one. And what specific message His Excellency, Mr. President, wants to go across to illicit miners, especially for the fact that he has established this task force?
Okay, so I will start with Steph talked about the July 26th celebration. Yes, there are preparations on the way for the celebrations, and as we draw closer to the date or to the activities, you will be duly informed. But just to let you know that this year, the July 26th will be going to Grand Bassa County in Buchanan. So all our people in Grand Bassa, y'all get ready for us. Y'all got a sleeping place for all of y'all got to get sleeping place for all the people in Liberia. But yeah, so this year, Grand Bassa will be hosting. The team at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is leading on the July 26th celebration, along with other line agencies. Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs is part of the committee. Ministry of Information is part of the committee. In other sectors, the Ministry of Local Government and other sectors are all part of the committee. So as the time draws closer, we will give you more details as to people who are coming, the guests, the theme, the keynote speaker, or the person who's going to be addressing whether other leaders are coming. All those meets, they're still being in the works. They're still cooking. Invitations are going out. But I can tell you, yes, what we have now is the agreement that Grand Bassa will be the host of this year. And the Bassa people are very happy. Grand Bassa people are very happy. One of the things that I was speaking to a colleague from Grand Bassa, Buchanan, they were saying that, why we're happy, because for the first time, we have electricity. We want to showcase to all of you that Monrovia is not the only place that get our second curry. We'll be happy to see it, to come out to celebrate and enjoy the celebration in essence of July 26th. And for this 26th, it's a 26th that the president is also very excited about, especially so with the level of work that the government is doing in the different sectors. And you see, we've talked about most of this. You all have asked me a number of times about when the president is going out of town, the road. I remember Ojukwu kept asking about the county tour and whatnot. And I've continuously mentioned to all of you that the interest of the president is not just to visit a place. It's to visit, but to show something that he's doing. And going to Grand Bassa during this 26th is to really show to the Bassa people or the people of Grand Bassa, because I know not only Bassa people that before the other people can say, oh, they're not only Bassa people in Grand Bassa. But yes, to the people of Grand Bassa, that the government is working, you have electricity, and there are other works when it comes to running water and other things that are pending, that will be ongoing. So it's something for the government to show. And on the issue of the illegal mining, the executive order is really clear as to what the mining or the team that have been set up by the president will really look forward to, what their expectations are. And I would just blend that question to Ojukwu's when he talked about whether the Ministry of Mines and Energy are now working, and if this is an attempt to bring back A.B. Nkrumah into government and whatnot. I will say, of course not, to the last part. It is not about bringing A.B. Nkrumah to government. But we work with a leader who believes in the ability of people who can work to bring change, to bring issues that are important to the government. And illicit mining is something that have really, really, really hampered the sector. Even people who, I think someone asked about people who are legitimate miners, how to protect their investment. Because if you are legitimate, you have your paperwork, you're paying taxes to government, would you be happy that someone else is coming to do the same thing but cutting government short, not paying anything, just giving chicken change to community? And all those who are involved, this team will come after you because they have the authority and power that was granted them. And the president also mentioned clearly in the executive order that the LNP, that is the Liberian National Police, and the Armed Forces of Liberia will all, or both, and even other apparatuses, security apparatuses, including the Ministry of Justice, will give the necessary support to the task force to really be able to carry on the work. So absolutely yes, they will work in the interest of everyone, especially the Liberian people and people who are doing their business legally. So no, it's not about bringing A.B. Nkrumah back in government, but it's about the president believing in the ability of people who can deliver. And he wants delivery when it comes to the mining sector. As you know, our country debt is really big. Going to the counties, going to the really deep forest areas that people are doing illegal activities. And that is why this executive order is important. As to broad day trucking, trucking, that means trucks and containers and big vehicles movement and with their excessive speed and the damages they've caused. In fact, as I stand here, I am also a victim of what that situation has done, especially to my family. A very young cousin, I'll put sister, lost her life a few months ago in Kakata to the truck right on the main road with its movement. The truck reversing collided with the motorcycle. It turns out my cousin was on the motorbike, instantly killing a young woman in her prime who has just concluded college and just got married under a year and had a kid, a son, a very beautiful, very bright young lady. And today the family, just last month actually, today the family is still grieving the loss of a young sister. So yes, it is a very concerning situation. And even with the current, the most recent incident that happened with a student from the African Methodist University losing her leg to the truck accident. And this has happened a number of times. And even in the very Kakata as well, I've seen people calling for banning or stopping or scheduling movement at a certain time. This is something that the president team will be reviewing, especially from the Ministry of Justice, the traffic section, and see what really needs to happen with even those who own trucks and really see what's the possibility of what can happen. But I will let you know that it is something that the president is concerned about. And once his team gets to him and gives him some possibilities of what's necessary and what can be done, I'm sure he's a leader who listens to his people and he will be happy to take decisions in the interest of the people. I think, yes, I thought I just talked about the illicit mining. I think that was one of the final questions. As to protecting the communities, of course. In fact, one of the other things that's going to happen in this process, protecting whistleblower. Because one of the cabinet meetings that was held recently focused also on that, the Ministry of Mines and Energy. In fact, connecting that to Ojuku's point. So the Ministry of Mines and Energy, they're fully involved with this. They're fully involved and support this task force, and they will be working along with the task force. Yes, the ministry has inspectors in the counties, but Ojuku, unfortunately, an inspector, one inspector, two inspectors here and there cannot solve the problem of illegal mining. They may try, they may report, they may write a report, but to take action, and the Ministry of Mines has a number of different work that they're doing. It's mines and energy. They're working in the mining area, coordinating and showing that the mining company, the legitimate companies here, they're working, they're registering new companies, they're providing policy advice on the sector. They're doing a number of different things in the sector. Similarly, they also connect to energy. They're working with LEC, the energy component, to ensure we have stable electricity, the different projects relating to electricity and energy, the different programs that are in the sector. So it's a big, portfolio that the Ministry of Mines and Energy has. So this task force will exclusively focus on illicit mining in the whole big bucket of what the Ministry of Mines does. So this task force will work along with the Ministry of Mines to coordinate specifically illicit mining activities and get all the support from the different apparatuses, whether it's the LNP, the Armed Forces of Liberia, and others, and even find other means to get support to be able to put this situation under control, because it's a really dire and serious situation that the president is very concerned about. And whistleblowers will also be protected. In fact, there are deep conversation that's currently being had about even supporting whistleblowers. So if someone is in a community and there's an illegal mining activity happening, and you decide to be the whistleblower to inform the government, to inform the task force, you will be protected, but also you will also be getting some form of compensation. So once the committee come together, they do their work, at the end of the day, you all will hear specifics as to what they intend to do, how they intend to do it, and they will also communicate to the public on the process and what other programs they intend to undertake in curbing the issue of illicit mining. And the president has exclusive confidence in this committee or in this task force, and he's looking forward to supporting them, whatever they need, and all different arms within the government of Liberia to support that sector. So the specific message, as Anthony asked his final question, is to really tell the Liberian people the messages are clear for the president. One of the messages will be to the Liberian people themselves, especially those people who are gatekeepers to illicit miners, who, when the people come to you, you bypass the process and show them where your mines are. It's to tell you simply, why are you doing that? You're depriving your very self of what you could get as a community, as a country, that will not just be for you alone, that will be for you, but also your community will benefit. Why are you doing that? And the team will be committed to even bringing those people forward as well. If you are a community leader, you're facilitating illegal mining activities, you will be held responsible and you will be held liable as well. Because they say, I mean, someone, I don't want to call any specific nationality, but imagine someone from one country will not just come in your country from nowhere and just go straight in the middle of the mining area of your community and start working from there without any aid, without any support, without any gateway or entry point. So those people who will do the facilitation, the president is very clear. You too will be held liable and you will be dealt with in accordance with the law. The other message to the rest of us is to really see the fact that we have natural resources. God has blessed and endowed us with all of these natural resources. All He wants from all of us is our cooperation to help these sectors, to build our sectors, to contribute to our communities and contribute our quota, whether it's in the education system, the healthcare, and just everywhere else. So we want to encourage all of you, all of us Liberians, be a good and productive citizen. Because if Liberia is better, all of us will be better. And his simple message, as always, even this morning, he was sharing it with all of us. And in fact, something that most Liberians do not know is that the tagline you hear him say, think, laws, and build Liberia, is not just something that came up in 2023 elections or when he was around running for office, but he wrote a Christmas card on December 25th, 2015, at the time he was vice president. And Liberia was celebrating, after Liberia was celebrating one of her independence, following that celebration, in the card he wrote to give to people, he asked a very rhetorical question: are you happy with where you are as a country? And I would just do that very, very quickly on the specifics of what the card, what he wrote as vice president to share with people who he intended to share the information with. He was very clear. And he wrote, in fact, this was when Liberia was 168 years old. He wrote this for December 25th, 2015. He said, Liberia is 168 years old. Let's ask ourselves, are we where we should be? Are we satisfied with where we are? From now on, let us think Liberia, love Liberia, and build Liberia. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. This was a card he did for people he sent to at the time he was vice president, December 25th, 2015. And it's his simple message. In all that we do, let us think Liberia, love Liberia, and build Liberia together. Thank you, good afternoon, and have a wonderful Friday.